So welcome, I'm Adriane. I'm hosting tonight, so I'm just gonna kick it off with me and share my story of my son. So I'm gonna be compliant here because I'm not going to say that this has prevented or cured any disease or illnesses. Okay, getting that out there. And so yeah, sorry, this is my first time, guys. Give me a little like, okay. So all of you guys, welcome. Okay, you're here too. You're here too. That's right. That's right. First time doing this, guys. Okay, so I'm not nervous. It's all good. Just learning here. So yeah, I'm gonna keep compliant. I'm going to. It's a very long story, so I do have some notes here. I'm gonna try to speak my best from the heart, but trying to stay organized and not talk in circles. So here we go. So if anything you take away tonight, it is the power of endurance, hope, love, and trust in God. Okay, so to truly know pain is to know what joy feels like. So my son at a young age was sick a lot. He got reoccurring infections, which led to hospitalization of pneumonia when he was 3 years old. Left there, went to the doctors, and the only thing they could come back with was he has allergy-induced asthma. So they gave him the inhaler, and we went on our way, and he didn't improve. He just only got worse. He started having a lot of defiance, hyperactivity, and sensory issues. And like there were points where he just had no emotional control. He began having a lot of challenges with communicating. And so we went from doctor to doctor, did tons of evaluations. We tried to get somewhere that route with the therapy route. We got nowhere. So we ended up signing up and doing parenting classes. We read books. We did it all. We did therapy. We did occupational therapy. And fast forward, 2 years later, just got worse. And so we continued to persevere through it, but then mood swings started, like fixations, some OCD behaviors. He just continued to struggle with daily life. It was really, really challenging for him to just do the basic things like getting dressed. He would have sensory issues, like everything had to be tight. So we went down the rabbit hole of psychiatry and we tried to go and have the evals, and that just led to more confusion because we got more and more diagnoses of different mental illnesses, which led to more meds. And there was just like this up and down every single day, living on a roller coaster, living on edge, living every single day, not knowing what the next day was going to look like for him. And on my most days, prayer was the only thing that got me through. Prayer, power of prayer. And I just prayed for at least one good day that he would have, because every day was so emotional and so challenging. And so I kept searching, I kept digging for answers and to find somebody that could help. But through our perseverance and through many, like this roadmap that just seemed to never end, we were led one puzzle piece at a time. And I believe it was my prayers that just little by little gave me a little piece of that puzzle at a time. And so many of these puzzle pieces was like one doctor. And so but they weren't all connecting. They were all here, there, everywhere. Just led to more confusion. He just continued to progress worse. And it just led from one diagnosis to another, to another, to another. And I always felt deep down inside, I knew they all had to come together somehow, but I didn't know how. And so he suffered a lot through all of this. Despite everything we were doing, he still had anxiety, he had tics, he had depression, insomnia, school regression, rage. He refused to eat. He refused to take a bath, brush his hair, just do the simple basic things. And at one point, his body was so on fire, it was so inflamed, he couldn't even go outside and play because the pollution would flare him and send him into a rage. He couldn't even take a warm bath. He couldn't even, we got to the point where we noticed changes when he would go in the swimming pool. So we couldn't swim. We couldn't do all the fun family traditions and the things that we normally do that a kid should be able to do. And he couldn't even hold his guinea pigs. Like he loved those little fluffy guinea pigs. When he brought home, he couldn't even hold them. He couldn't even play with them. And the tipping iceberg, it was if there was any little stress on top of all those triggers, he'd pass out. So last year he was passing out. Every single week we'd get a phone call and he passed out. And they didn't know why. All these doctors couldn't understand. They couldn't understand and tie it together. And it was torture, it was complete torture watching him suffer like that. And my breakthrough was when last year, right before his 9th birthday, his doctors, they wanted him to test for a CT tumor scan. And so I just, at that point, like for everything I'd done through our journey, it was like me trying to have control. And when I finally released that control and I completely gave it over to God, that's how I met Anna. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking today. That's why my son is doing so amazing. So I got to just sum this up because it's a very long story. But the story behind that is I prayed, and the next thing I knew, like I prayed that someone very specifically, I would find someone that could help us. And that night I found myself on Airbnb and I found a cabin, and I was driven to find this cabin, and I was driven to stay there, and not just like, maybe next week. It was like, now, go tomorrow. So I booked it, well, kind of temporarily, because she had to get back and make sure it was all good, right? And we left the next morning. My husband thought I was crazy. He's like, what are you doing? We're having guests over the next day. Like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, I just have a strong feeling I have to go. And like on the way over, I had a prompting that told me, maybe you need to meet this woman. Maybe you need to meet Anna. Maybe you need to meet her family. So when I arrived there, and here I'm over here, the crazy mom rubbing coconut oil on her son because, to go to the pool, like that's what we had to do. And she's like, oh, no worries, I can get you some. Like, have you heard about oxidative stress? That's where it started, and that changed everything. And she's like, well, I'm gonna be down in Phoenix in 3 days, and do you want to come and listen? Dr. Sveta, I was just off the phone, and she's coming down. And I was like, I trusted it, because I was like, God led me there to her. I trusted whatever was gonna come. She hands me a sample of Axio, says, give this to your son on the ride home. And that's when our miracle started. On the drive up, he was kind of fixated, he was fussy, he was just distant, didn't want to like talk to me. On the drive home, his light switch went back on. He went from that to this bright and inquisitive and smart and funny and like chatty little boy that he used to be, like asking 100 questions. So when I got home, checked with his doctor. From there, in a week, slowly switched from Ritalin to that. Saw him playing with his toys again. Saw him sleeping good, eating good. No longer had tummy pain. He had gained finally. He couldn't gain weight before. He gained about 2 pounds in like a week because he was eating so much, which he needed to. And from there, connected with Dr. Sveta, and I was still a little skeptical because I didn't quite, I believed it, but I was like, the thing is, gotta understand, this little boy was on so many meds, so many supplements, so many things we tried. It was like, one more thing, it's gonna interact, but I trusted it. And she believed. And so I followed that and put him on NFR2. And from there, I'll sum it up, he's off of 8 meds. He went from 8 doctors to 1. He stopped IVIG. He was told he would need the rest of his life. He is happy daily. He's back to being in sports again. He's not having all the crazy triggers. He's enjoying life to the fullest as much as possible. And he's free of his pain and suffering. And this not only has blessed the lives of like my family, and it's all that ripple effect. So that's why you're all here today. And thank you for listening to my story.
That's beautiful. Are we
and just remember that impossible,
we're blubbering idiots.
Impossible means I'm possible.
Yay.
So, thank you. I'd like to say amen.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for coming. Who needs to say anything else? That's what I'm saying. So thank you for being here.
Video the other day, him in the back seat. He was just talking about Axio, so she started recording it. It was so sweet. I don't know if you want to see that later, if he's allowed to even come up and share.
Caleb, yeah, you want to come up here and say anything? With a mouthful of food? Come on up. Yeah.
When kids notice the difference with themselves and they ask
With
for
your
it,
mama,
you know.
with your mommy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Somebody get a picture.
Whatever you want to say, how you feel now. How does your body feel, and how does your mind feel? What's the best part of your body right now that feels good?
My head.
Your head. He says his brain. When I ask him, he says my brain.
Wow.
It needs to be all the
What
time.
does it
is
feel
better.
like?
So
What do you feel like?
What does your whole body feel like?
Better.
Did you tell me the other day in the car? Why don't you just share with them that? Aw. How are you doing in school?
Good.
Yeah, much better. Much better, able to focus and able to pay attention and super happy.
That's what I said. Remember he said he felt happier.
Felt happier. What else? Anything else? You're amazing.
Caleb, you are amazing.
And he is, he's my champion. He's gonna do some amazing things in his life, guys. And I told him, like, you know, and he knows this, like, you go through hard things because it's gonna make you stronger, right? So everything that we've gone through, we can do anything in life because of what we've gone through, right? He's gonna do anything he wants. So.
All right. Thank you, Caleb. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Adriane. Wow, you all. So this is the power. This is what we have here. My name is Marisa Maggio Harrelson, and I'm delighted to be here. Here is the angel that introduced this beautiful breakthrough technology. Anna Merrill, come up here because this is about the power of sharing a story. And this woman, I'm just gonna have you start talking because we're gonna share some things with you, but this right now to me is the most powerful thing. I was introduced to LifeVantage almost 10 years ago.
I'm doing it because I'm tall and my head's cut off. Hello.
And I've known Anna and Lauren and their family, I think, what, 7, 8 years? How many is that?
7 years.
About 7 years. And, you know, it's really fun. You get to see families grow up. So a little bit about, we all were doing something before LifeVantage. And I am a former television news journalist. I worked in that industry almost 20 years. I wasn't doing that when I learned about LifeVantage. I was actually teaching yoga and meditation, and I overheard a conversation at yoga, and that's why I'm here today. That's the short story of it. And I was blown away when I was hearing what was happening with people, and our products don't cure, treat, or mitigate. They activate the body. The body's the miracle. And when it's activated correctly, it can do miraculous things, as Anna and her family. And I'm just going to let you share a little bit about your story right now, because it just feels like this is what needs to happen. So.
Okay. So my kids are on. You heard them all get on nice and noisily, which I loved. Just right off, my first thought when she said that is my kids love to say they biohack and fight back. And I don't know if you've heard that phrase before, but all of us have something going on. I bet I could ask every single one of you in this room, and there's something going on with you, you know, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, and just to think that we can fight back and not be stuck with that. I mean, you just saw that sweet story, and it's hard because it's a ripple effect. Like she was saying, it affects the whole family. And we were, when I first came, I don't even know where to start. My story's too big, so I'm just going to keep it real simple and small. But I just remember, well, first of all, I used to wear leg braces as a kid, like Forrest Gump. And so starting at age 2, I just had severe just pain. I remember scissor kicking myself to sleep. My mom said my cribs were beat up from all the metal and my walls. And just, I was in a lot of pain through high school. I'd start cross country and track, and I was out of them at that time. But what it does to your joints when your body's forced to, my feet were like this. So when your body's forced a certain way and you're in it 24/7 for years, it trashes every joint, and you don't understand that till later. So I started, you know, just started physical therapy as a kid. In my 20s, I was doing physical therapy, cortisone shots every 3 months in all my joints, prescription strength drugs 3 times a day, and trying to be happy and feel good and be a mom. Because when you're physically in pain all the time and you're kind of at your wit's end, because it's just getting worse as you get older, right? Because the oxidative stress sets in. And then, of course, I had my children, each one of them born, and 3 of them had a neurodegenerative disease that caused cerebral palsy, ataxia, several problems. So they couldn't take care of themselves. They were in wheelchairs or laying on their backs, and I was picking, you know, children up that were too big to be picked up anymore. I was trashing my shoulders, my whole body. So I was just living this life of putting a smile on my face, being happy, but then you let your gut health go and everything else. I was kind of broken. And so I always remember that moment standing at the top of my loft overlooking my house, just going, I have a home, I have this beautiful family, but I'm in pain and I'm not happy. We were getting our 3rd wheelchair, and I'm like, who's going to push the 3rd wheelchair? And I was just living this life of trying to be happy. We were teachers, trying to help people, coaching Special Olympics, just trying to do, but needed to quit being in pain. And we were in Oceanside, just took our kids out into the sand and trying to give them all the experiences that other kids are getting. You know, it's 11 o'clock at night, and the ABC investigative report, I just remember seeing that. I don't know, I'm sure someone turned it on in the room, but I don't remember much about it except that I watched it. And I didn't even pay much attention to it because I didn't, but my husband was the one that really paid attention, and he heard, you know, and we'll watch that in a minute, right? Are we going to watch that after this?
Yes.
So they mentioned different diseases and ailments, and my husband right away ordered it. And I actually was mad at him for ordering. I was the worst customer, patient, whatever you want to call it. I tried everything. I was the target for everybody bringing stuff to me because I had kids in wheelchairs. I was in pain. And so when he bought it, and we were teachers, so we were going into our summer budget. I didn't budget for that or for myself. I did take it. I was nice, but I was kind of bratty. And he would put it out there, happy wife, happy life, and just walk away. He was so tired of and I started to take it. And that was May. And then it wasn't until October, because it takes time. It takes time. Any doctor, any person, anybody that studies health, you understand it takes time for your body to heal. It's not a 20-minute ibuprofen, you know, that just masks the pain. But as by October, I remember when they called to set up my cortisone shots, I didn't need them. And it's funny how your body slowly starts to heal. And I just recognized I didn't need it. And I recognized too that I wasn't taking the prescription strength drugs. I started not needing it and going to it. And then it was just shortly after that, just probably a week or two after that, it was like somebody needed to prove something to me that I was working. Our neurologist had reached out to me and said, hey, I think you should train for this marathon, the Rock and Roll Marathon. We'll push your kids in wheelchairs and do this race. The coolest part of that is I was able to say yes. And I trained for it from October and ran in January. And to be able to do that, I couldn't even do that. And I was in my 30s. I couldn't have done that in my teenage years. So that was my first, like, wow, this is amazing. And so, and I know I'm probably telling it too long, but fast forward that almost a year later, that's the sad part. A year later, we have Dr. Amy Leverent, who's our eye surgeon. And we had so many specialty doctors, just like she did, our ear, nose, and throat specialists, all these different doctors, our neurologists we were going to. And we were actually at an ear, nose, and throat specialist appointment. And this kind man was always looking out for me, telling me to drink more water, get more sleep, you know, just looking for me, taking care of me, which I always appreciate that. And he was just kind of like, wow, you look great. I haven't seen you look this good in a long time. You're getting good sleep, because I didn't realize it was helping me sleep better. I didn't know what it was. I'm like, yeah, I'm sleeping better. I feel good. He goes, what have you done different? And then I just like, this little pill. I mean, I still didn't know. I didn't ever research. I didn't know anything about it, that I was taking it. And then he knew what it was, and I didn't know that. And he just kind of bypassed that conversation. And then of course the nurse comes in, and I'm probably telling too much of the story, but it's where it hit me strong is then, so the nurse came in, and which was his wife, which I learned later. And she was asking all the list of things that my kids were on. And of course I gave him this list of medications, but not once did I say Protandim or NRF2. And he actually lectured me a little bit later and said, why are your kids not on this? And I was like, well, they don't have arthritis. Like, that was my answer. Everything was medicine takes care of this. And he said, well, then you don't know what it is. And he doesn't work for the company. He's not just a doctor. I shouldn't say that. He's a separate doctor from the whole situation. And he said, I'm going to give you homework. You go home, go on PubMed. I want you to look up oxidative stress and put cerebral palsy in the search engine. I didn't know what PubMed was. I finally learned later it was published medical journals. Our taxes pay for it. So I went home, put that all in the search engine, like he said, and just in their saliva alone, their oxidative stress was high. And of course, I started reading through the studies going nuts. And I was learning that just in 30 days, their oxidative stress can be lowered by 40%. And that's where the mom guilt set in. Because my kids should have been on this way longer even before me. But so I put him on it right away. And of course, I was nervous because I only thought medicine minded. I didn't know how much to give him. It said adult dose on the back. So that's when I called till I got to the medical board with Dr. Silverman. And that's when I learned from her. She had me start low and slow and put them on a half and do all these different things. My kids' wheelchairs are toys in the backyard now. The cousins ride them down the hills, make them put helmets on as they go down the hills. And even the grandmas and aunts, my sister's on here, she's raced the walkers and the wheelchairs down. And so they still use walkers at school. I'm not going to tell you they don't use them. It gets icy, it gets windy. They have big heavy backpacks, people are running. So they have the walkers in the nurse's office in the classroom, classroom when they need it. They don't use them all the time. They do have upright crutches, but if you were to look at their MRIs, their cerebellum is completely shriveled and deformed. They shouldn't be upright. And part of my story, and I'm just going to jump out of here because it's not about me, it's about Adriane, your family, and all of you here, because that's what we're here for, is to help you guys. But when I was putting my kids on it and I was scared, it's scary to try new things, to put your kids through stuff. You know, all of you know that have children or grandkids or anyone. It's scary to start them down a new journey, especially after failure and nothing's working. And I remember taking it to Dr. Amy Leverett because I trusted her. She was one of those sweet ladies that I could show her what I was making for Thanksgiving. She made me feel good. I don't know if she remembers that, but she was just that neat doctor that just loved me too. And I remember taking it to her, just being trusting, saying, here's these pamphlets, I'm putting my kids on it, what do you think? And I always remember it was Labor Day weekend, because of course we went camping right after that. And I remember getting back and there was a message on my voicemail, on my email, on my text from her saying, whatever you do, if you don't put your kids on it, I'm getting on it, because she did all her research that weekend. And that's kind of where it started. And she joined as a customer at that time. And 5 years later, she's now a distributor with us, because in her words, and I should let her share, but in her words, she says she saw my kids go from immobile to mobile, and it wasn't supposed to happen. So our brains are brilliant. Our bodies are miracles. They can heal. And so it may not cure a disease. My kids still have a neurodegenerative disease. They still have forearm crutches, but they're upright. And I mean, when we have to go to the doctor now because a broken tailbone because she fell, yeah, it hurts, but she's upright. She's running around. She's playing soccer. You know, life is just exciting. And anyway, that was a lot.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, but it's just really neat to get to help people. So.
And this is just one, these are two stories of thousands and thousands and thousands. We could be here all night. We're not going to do that to you. So as I mentioned, you know, this is why we do what we do. Pretty easy to see. How would you not share something that you know is going to help people? And from not fixing anything to just aging better. So just quickly, that's our families, Anna's family and my family. My kids were 10 and 12 when I was introduced to LifeVantage, and now they're 22 and 19. And this has really been the most joyful work, if you call it work, it's mission, that I've ever done. And I'll share a little bit more about all of that. When you have a breakthrough technology, there's an opportunity that might be for you and it might not be, but I just invite you to be open to take a look at this, because you might know somebody that might want to share these products and earn income or pay for their products. So just a little bit about LifeVantage is there was a doctor, Dr. Joe McCord, researcher, world renowned, father of what's called free radical biology. And he co-discovered a key anti-aging enzyme way back in 1969. And actually, I was alive. Who else was alive in the 60s? Okay, all right. I was a little girl, but while I was a little girl, this guy's at Duke University and he's doing all this research, and he co-discovers one of our body's key anti-aging enzymes, which you don't need to know how to say it. I just like to say it. Superoxide dismutase. SOD, it has the odd function of gobbling up these free radicals, this oxidative stress. We'll talk a little bit more about it. And so he co-discovered, he had, was given 40 plants by a team of researchers, narrowed down to 5. And there's 5 plants in this little yellow pill that is scientifically proven to reduce oxidative stress. It's the apple that turns brown. Right? That's what's happening inside of our cells as we age. Just think of that. That's oxidative stress right there. Okay. The rust on a car. So why are you hearing about it in Adriane's living room? Well, this product went retail for 3 years after an ABC primetime investigative report aired. You're going to hear a little bit more about that. And it went online, went in GNCs, Rite Aids, CVS pharmacies, sat next to $5 and $10 antioxidants. It's not an antioxidant. This is an activator. It's activating your own God-given antioxidant enzymes inside your body. So that's the miracle. So just a little bit about the company. This is legit. We're publicly traded on the NASDAQ, debt-free, 23 million in reserve. Aaron Brockovich on our board of directors. And right before COVID hit, January 2020, LifeVantage was asked to ring the closing bell on Wall Street during Wellness Week. And so we did. And then you remember what happened in February 2020. So, but we kept doing well and went debt-free during this time, this pandemic. pretty amazing. So now we have all these researchers and medical centers from all over the world that did studies on this product after the ABC report. And that's why we have so many medical professionals that understand. They look at the science. We've got medical professional, doctor, therapist. We've got a lot of people in here that, and you don't have to be, I'm not. So it's just, if you have heart and you care, you want to share this with people so that they can at least start biohacking their health. All right, we're going to take you back in time now to this ABC report. It was airing, it aired in 2005. And so who was alive? There's some people in this room that were not, but so anyway, watch what happens to John Quinonas's blood work. We're just going to give you this short little clip, a 3-minute clip of it, but pay attention and see what happens.
No longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment. For me, it begins with a blood test.
It wouldn't be the first time I've given blood for this company.
They want to check my levels of something called T-bars, which is a rough indicator of a person's actual age. T-bars can identify a condition known as oxidative stress, a kind of measure of the wear and tear on our bodies. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing. The problem of aging begins with the very food we eat to give us energy. As our cells burn that food, they also release toxic chemicals. Those chemicals, you may know them as free radicals, react with all the components of our cells, literally bombarding them millions of times per second, damaging all our cells. The result, oxidative stress, and we all have it. The body fights back with a system of defenses. It makes 2 antioxidant enzymes, catalase and SOD, whose job is to gobble up the free radicals before they can harm our cells.
So, Doctor, how often do I take these?
And so, here I go. With that swallow, I've just become part of a potentially landmark scientific experiment. It's called Protandim, and tests have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us. Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age, but taking just 1 pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old. So just what's in this seemingly incredible pill? Well, actually, its roots are very humble. Protandim is a combination of 5 plant ingredients. Some you may know: green tea or turmeric, a spice used in Indian cooking. Others, Withania somnifera and Silybum marianum, are more exotic. High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma, all of these, strokes, heart attacks,
Even mental disease,
yes,
depression.
Alzheimer's disease, depression.
But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. The result? My level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically. Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after. Have we turned back the clock? Maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells. Yes, indeed.
We do know that oxidative stress is part of those processes. But I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
The company that makes Protandim says its tests show the pill, made from ingredients used for centuries, is absolutely safe. For more, go to our website at abcnews.com.
And that's exactly what people did. $5 million of orders in 2 weeks. Company stock goes from $1 to $20 a share. Can you imagine that? And Oprah Winfrey's people called wanting to do a story with Dr. McCord, but he didn't return her call. He didn't know who she was. He was this nerdy little scientist, but researchers called him and wanted to begin their own clinical peer-reviewed studies. And that's why today we have over 30 clinical peer-reviewed published studies from, has anyone ever heard of Harvard or Mayo Clinic? or the American Heart Association, or the National Institute on Aging. They did a 10-year federally funded study to see if mice lived longer. It equated to 5 human years. Pretty amazing on this little natural yellow pill, the only natural product in the world clinically proven to increase lifespan. Think about that. I really, like, what would you do with 5 more human years if you had them? So I was blown away when I saw this ABC report. I overheard a conversation at yoga and I'm like, what are you talking about? And this teacher pointed to one of our dear leaders in the company, Carrie Williams, and said, go ask her. And I just talked to her. She gave me the link. I went home and watched it. I was like, oh my gosh, I saw the longer version. And I'm like, we're taking this, hun. I had made my husband watch it. And then I said, there's an opportunity. I don't even know what that means. I called her. I'm like, can you meet with me tomorrow? I want to know what this means. And I was seeing what she was earning and it was ridiculous. It was like, this woman had time freedom and financial freedom. And I wanted desperately to know what that was because I was in a dark place at that time. And my mom had died and I just stopped working and I was a new teacher in yoga and I was just teaching. That was my healing process. That's what was helping me through that difficult time. So this, being that I was into health and wellness, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take this and I'm going to tell everybody that I know. I would have to not like you to not tell you about it. That's how I feel about it. But anyway, you can see the studies, you can see that, you know, if you think about it, you guys, there's a real health revolution happening in the world, wouldn't you say? And our health is more important today than ever before in our immune system. So what if you knew of a product that could, you know, reverse that cellular damage caused by aging, among other products that have been developed by this company that are really optimizing human health? Would you want to know about it? And that's really what we have here. So oxidative stress is caused by life. It's caused by breathing. It's caused by the foods we eat. Even the good foods have a byproduct reaction, right? But it's the chemicals in the water to make it safe, the jet fuel in the airplane, the benzene and the gasoline. Over time, it just compounds and those free radicals just attack the cells. And so whatever you're predispositioned for, that's what, you know, we're all mapped genetically different, but we all have oxidative stress. And the way that looks on you is different than it looks on me, but it's going to affect me. So this isn't, oxidative stress is not a disease, it's just related to diseases. We talked about PubMed. You go to PubMed, type in oxidative stress. I think there's almost 300,000 studies today on oxidative stress. When I started, 56,000. It's crazy how many, and every single day there are more and more studies. What if you knew something that could slow that down? What do doctors give you today to slow down inflammation? Steroids? Is that good for you? No. What do you know of something else? This is a superfood salad in a pill, Protandim. Oxidative stress affects every organ system in the body, and Protandim is just this little superfood salad in a pill. I say I like to sprinkle it on everything in my life, you know, and it is ashwagandha, bacopa, milk thistle, green tea, turmeric. I take all 5 of those. That's awesome. Well, they don't do what one Protandim does. Really? Yeah. So one Protandim activates your own body's production of antioxidant enzymes to eliminate 1 million free radicals per second, every second, scientifically proven. So instead of a little Dixie cup on a house fire, that's a 1-to-1 ratio, one antioxidant molecule, which we love, our blueberries and grapes and all of those things, right? One antioxidant molecule eliminates 1 free radical. But when your body is producing 23 septillion free radicals a day, which is like 23 zeros after that number, that's a lot. But what if you knew something that could reduce 1 million free radicals per second, every second, scientifically proven? One of the studies on PubMed, would you want to know about it? That's what we have here. Increases, you don't have to know what all this is, but it's really important because these are your motherboard antioxidant enzymes. And you'll hear a lot about glutathione right now. People are getting glutathione infusions. It's synthetic. It doesn't last for long, but I did during COVID. I got the infusions, but I also know that I was very strong and healthy during that challenging time because my body was producing its own glutathione by over 300%. That's incredible. That's one of the studies on PubMed. So as I mentioned, it's the I mentioned you can take all 5, they won't do what one Protandim does. It's that synergy that activates a protein. Now, this is something that is not mentioned in the ABC. It activates a protein called NRF2, and that's why Protandim is called NRF2 activator, Protandim NRF2 activator. It's flipping on this genetic switch that gets really dim as we age, and it doesn't work, and it's responsible for cellular repair. It's responsible for cleaning up that garbage. So Protandim Nerve 2 is the Dyson vacuum cleaner for your cells. That's the easiest way. Oxidative stress is bad, reducing it is good. Here is a breakthrough technology that's doing that, 40 to 70%, 40% on average in all mammals. So then that's the 1-to-1 ratio. I talked a little bit about it, and that's the 1 million to 1, turning the blood of an 80-year-old back down to that of a 20-year-old. Does that sound good? Like, right? I have taken this pill every day for almost 10 years, and so have my children, and so has my husband, and so have our dogs. Multiple patents. We've been featured on numerous television stations, Donny Osmond, Montel Williams, they all take it. And this is really what I would just say, remember that Protandim NRF2 is, this is from researchers, potentially the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. Now think about that, in the history of medicine, what breakthroughs happened in the history of medicine recently? What was the last breakthrough? Anybody know? Was it polio vaccine? Something like that. Penicillin? Like, seriously, it takes a while to think, right? Like, what is the latest breakthrough? This is pretty awesome. So, and it's natural. So then we evolved into Protandim NRF1. That's a pathway boosting the mitochondria, natural proprietary blend of 5 natural ingredients that work again synergistically to increase the mighty mitochondria, the engine of the cell. Oxidative stress affects the mitochondria, right? So we die of mitochondria dysfunction. We lose our mitochondria, the cell doesn't work anymore. So this is actually creating more naturally of your own mitochondria by over 70%. So you're gonna have lots of good benefits, better sleep, better cellular energy, and a few other things you can see on the screen. And now I'm gonna call it Dr. Dani Stetzel. She's gonna share a little bit more about some of the products and the benefits. So we evolved even more. I love that nutrigenomics, this is the science of nutrigenomics, nutrition for your genes. Dani Stetzel is a network spinal chiropractor. She's an energy healer. She's a wonderful person that I met through an online program and Alignable. And I shared it with her. She reached out to me, thought I was a health coach. I am. And we got together and I shared this with her, and I'll let her share her story, and then you can talk a little bit more about our products. Thank you.
Thank you. So lucky for me, when I reached out to Marisa, I wasn't looking for this at all, but I also absolutely was, because at the time, I was about a year out from finding out that my dad had kidney cancer, and I graduated chiropractic school also a year before. So it was my first full year in practice. I'm in a brand new state. My whole family lives in New Jersey. So I had a lot of change in a short amount of time. And my belief in chiropractic was really, really low, because if my dad, who's been a chiropractor for 25 years, could develop this kind of disease process, then there was a huge gap in how I was serving people. And I didn't know how to fill that gap, but I really felt responsible for it. So I'm in this crisis, an identity crisis of sorts, saying, well, chiropractic's not everything that I thought it was, because I grew up knowing that the power that made the body could heal the body, but it wasn't healing him. So what's going on? And then I meet Marisa, and she starts talking about Nerve 2 and all of the research. And all I had to do was watch the ABC Yellow Pill video. And I was like, yeah, my dad needs to have that in his body now. And also, so do I, because during school, I was a competitive Olympic lifter. I did some national level competitions, and I did not recover at all. So my body hurt with all the stress I had. I wasn't sleeping at all. Again, new in practice. Okay, I need this too. So I started taking it. I was sleeping better. My joints stopped hurting. My partner had psoriasis on 80% of her body. That no pill, injection, diet, nothing had helped. her psoriasis is gone. And my dad has been taking Nerve 2 and the whole Tri-Synergizer, which I'll talk about in a second, for the last year. And while his prognosis had him passing away about a year ago, he's still with us, even with a lot of stress in the last few months, and his cancer's stagnant. It's not gone, but it's not progressing, which is really huge considering what he's going through. So all of that to say, I saw what was really going on, that this is really the answer that I was looking for, that I didn't even realize was possible. Because our bodies can heal given the right resources, but there's physical stress, there's mental emotional stress, which we are all very familiar with, especially after the last few years, but then there's the chemical stress, and this can really address that. So Marisa talked about Nerve 2 and Nerve 1, and that can address those components of the cell, but then they came out with NAD. And you'll see at the bottom, increases sirtuin activity. And you might say, I have no clue what that is, and that's okay. You don't really need to, but who's heard of intermittent fasting? Right? We all have in some aspects. We might have even tried it. And I know I like to eat, right? We don't like to go long periods of time without eating, but one of the main benefits of intermittent fasting is it actually increases your sirtuins. And what sirtuins do is they actually protect your DNA. So DNA is what informs who you are, each person. We all have our own DNA. But what actually makes your DNA express itself isn't your genetics, it's the epigenetics. It's the things in your environment that turn on these genes so that your genes can actually do their thing and express, because some genes stay turned off and stay turned off forever. You can have identical twins, and the identical twins grow up and can have two very different disease processes because of their environment, right? So what these sirtuins do is it actually protects that DNA, and it can make sure that it's expressing in the best way possible for it. So what this NAD product does is it actually goes in there and increases sirtuin activity by 100% in 24 hours. So the benefits of intermittent fasting without having to starve yourself for an extended period of time, right?
I'm in.
Right? Who's in? I know I am. And there are so many more benefits to intermittent fasting. So if you do it, I'm not telling you to stop. It's wonderful for you. But we can start to get these benefits and see things: improved mental focus, better mood, better inflammatory response, better cholesterol levels, healthy vascular system. In the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of things with people that are having circulation issues, right, with the diseases that are going on right now. So how important is it that we really support our bodies in this way? And the best part is that when you combine these three products on their own, they're absolutely wonderful, right? And you can see that here. I won't go too deep into it, even though, like, as a nerd, it gets me really excited. But you can see on its own, this is what it does. So antioxidant and inflammatory response, it's improved. This is Nerve 2. Here we have Nerve 1. This is just Nerve 1 alone. You can see how much better your mitochondria work and how many more you can make. Here, NAD alone. You can see how that NAD pathway, which is important for all energy production and for those sirtuins, how that's increased. But then the blue is when all three work together. And you can see how insane this is in the combination, right? So Tri-Synergizer, there's your antioxidant and detox pathway, 73% higher. Your healthy inflammatory response, which inflammation comes from even just chronic mental stress. Your body produces an inflammatory response because your brain doesn't know the difference between a tiger chasing you and your spouse yelling at you. It really doesn't. So you still have an inflammatory response. 838% increase in a healthy inflammatory response. That's insane. So you can see all of these numbers. And this right here with the NAD, there's nothing else on the market that's as effective. And especially something that's not synthetic. It's all natural. So over time, you're helping your body have its best chance of adaptability. Does that mean you'll never get sick? No, we get sick. That's what happens. And when we do, our bodies can actually do what they're made for and get better that much faster. And they didn't stop there. That's the best part. So I won't go through all of them because there's just so much we could talk about, but a few key points personally, and if anyone else wants to jump in. The prebiotic and then daily wellness. So prebiotics makes sense, right? It actually helps your gut area so that your digestive system is as healthy as possible. And this is a postbiotic. Postbiotic, again, helps the mucous membrane, and it helps so that your probiotics in your body can be as healthy as possible and function how they need to. So our people that we know that have really inflamed bowels, that have to run to the bathroom, that have a lot of discomfort when they go to the bathroom, can see insane benefits from something like this, because it's decreasing inflammation with Nerve 2 and with these products and helping everything be much more regular. And then they also have the probiotics not on here, but there's I don't know what it is. Amazing probiotic, Axio. And I know there are some people that can tell amazing stories of Axio, right? Even right here. But that just helps so that the different regions of your brain, some of them get really excited and some of them get really tired. And what that means is that we can't focus. Our mood is all over the place. And it's really hard for us to be present and do what we need to do because there's so much going on. Who's felt tired at the end of the day? But you know it's not really physical because you didn't do anything, right? I didn't do anything. Why am I exhausted? But you managed 8 different tasks at work. You balanced a family. You probably stared at a screen all day. And then you have to figure out what you want to make for dinner and all the things you need to clean. And that makes your brain really tired. And Axio can help balance that out. So these are some of the things, Marisa, if you want to share about anything else.
Yeah, no, I mean, we just have that same technology of NRF2 in hair care, skin care, dog care, because people were giving Protandim the pill to horses and dogs and cats. So you can give it to animals, it's safe. But we have a chewable. So the chewable is a treat. We have a CVID NRF2 body care line. So just a few other products, omegas, just we're a total wellness company. Even if you want to lose weight, we have a beautiful protein powder and a fat burner. So, you know, whatever it is that you like, we can talk to you about all of that. And this is Axio. This is actually seeing visible proof. This is a doctor's nephew who has some serious focus issues. And you can see 2 weeks on before Protandim and Axio, and then 2 weeks later. And this little boy was getting in trouble all the time at school, couldn't go out for recess, and he's doing so much better. He's been on this for a few years. So the doctor actually joined our company as well. So, and is on the science advisory board. Icy Bright. I don't know if Dr. Amy Leverett feels like sharing tonight a little bit about Icy Bright. Would you like to come up?
Sure.
Okay,
I'll
Doctor.
keep my social distance.
Pardon me?
I'll keep my social distance.
You're fine. Come on up. Dr. Amy Leverett is a surgical ophthalmologist, pediatric surgical ophthalmologist. She was at Phoenix Children's Hospital during COVID. She decided she was going to retire. COVID wakes people up, so they do what they want to do. They find their passion, and I think she's found her passion and purpose in many areas. And we are so grateful to you that you saw this. And that you, and then she says LifeVantage knocked it out of the park with Icy Bright. So this is important to hear.
Well, first of all, I owe it all to Anna as well. I'm another rescue story from Anna too. And I'm testimony that doctors don't know everything that's out there, and that we can also learn from people like Anna. And after I graduated from medical school is when really the trajectory of all the explosion of the research on oxidative stress. And so it's really very probable that you might talk to a doctor and they'll say, well, I didn't know anything. Why didn't my doctor tell me about this? And that's why, because we didn't know. But as far as Icy Bright, I won't take a lot of time, but I'm a pediatric ophthalmologist. So supplements for the eye was never really a big thing for us. It always was for the retina specialists who dealt with something called macular degeneration. And I don't know if you've heard about that, but it's a disease that older people get usually after the age of 65, but it's hereditary. It can cause blindness. And it's the most common cause of blindness after the age of 65. So if you're a retina specialist, nutrients were very, very important for the eye. And there's a precedent for the actual ingredients. I didn't know anything, but this was maybe about 2 months before it came out, I was privy to this was coming out. So I think they gave me a little special treatment because I was an eye doctor. But there is precedent for all the ingredients in there. And meaning that there was, I mean, I'm talking about a long time ago, like 1992 is when they came out with 2 huge studies, not just little fly-by-night studies. These are big, multi-center, everything a doctor wants to hear, right? Double-blind, multi-center, controlled studies on nutrients, basically nutrients on the eye. And there's 2 phases, but the bottom line was that they tested something called zeaxanthin and lutein, which are pigments that come from plants, and they're very important in the physiology of the retina. And that combined with omegas, combined with antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin E, and also zinc and copper. So you need zinc and copper for SOD to work, right? So what they found in these big studies was that it didn't, when they studied cataracts too, but cataracts, they didn't have any effect on cataracts, but it does on macular degeneration. Again, doesn't prevent it, but it prevents the progression of moderate macular degeneration to severe macular degeneration with those. So when this product came out, what they did, the difference is on what you could have gotten, let's say years ago on something called Ocuvite, which is probably the most common supplement, is that the lutein and the zeaxanthin is double is what it is in the other products that you're going to get that was out there before. And the vitamins, there's also vitamin D in here, which is an immune modulator and also helps with dry eyes and inflammation. And bilberry. And bilberry is also a plant pigment, and it's been around, there's a lot of hubbub about this for quite some time, but bilberry actually increases the pigment in the macula, the center of the retina, and it has important, it's anti-inflammatory, it's antioxidant, and it helps with night vision, because it helps a regeneration of one of the retinal pigments. So I know it sounds complicated, but my opinion of this is this, they really thought this out. I mean, they really, this is like, you can't think of anything better with all these products that are in here. I just, so that's my.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Amy. That's so great. So, and you know, that's kind of our product catalog. And you can be a customer, 90% of LifeVantage is customer based, but if you see yourself, oh my gosh, I'm going to share this and I would like to get my products paid for, you can become a distributor. People are earning income, they have side hustles, and I think more than ever before, how many people are, millions of people today are not wanting to go back to their job. So I'm not going to get all into the comp plan or anything like that tonight. I want to share stories, right? Are you good with that? Yeah. So there is an opportunity. I'm going to talk to those that are wanting to learn more about that because it's life changing, and I want to get into that in just a second. This business is a 3 to 5 year business. If you see this, I didn't know anything about network marketing. But if you, who has a business, who owns a business? A lot of hands in here. If you own a business, you're a network marketer, because how do you get your business? Networking, connecting with people. That's all this is, but you don't get paid unless you get people walking in your door and you do your service and then you get paid. This over time, you're sharing this, you're creating a virtual franchise basically. And it's really beautiful. And it's something that I didn't know anything about because I didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial home. So we're going to just share a few stories. I'm going to have a few people come up here, just kind of why they're doing the business. I want to share this. I'm going to share why I'm doing this business. And then I want some other people that are in this room to share why they're doing this. You guys, we have, people are building other people's dreams. People are not satisfied today, especially today. And I think that this has been a wake-up call. You've got doctors joining our company because they know the power. Well, they don't know the power of leveraged income. They want leveraged income. And so this is income that if you fall in love with these products and a few basic business principles, come on up, I want to hog this up, but I just want to talk a little bit about why people would do the business. And you can talk a little bit about earnings income and why you're doing it, where you are, and we can do it that way. Sound good?
Yes.
Because this can be, if you have a heart, that's what this business, that is the requirement needed if you have a kind heart and you're passionate about this.
So usually my husband teaches this. He teaches government economics and he loves the business part of this. So I really don't teach the business part very often because that's his passion. But one of the things, so really what was interesting to me is, so I was teaching, we were at a conference a couple Saturdays ago, and they invited me in front of a couple hundred people or so to come share my story because I thought it was funny. And I just got up there, I'm like, why do you think it's funny? And she goes, because nobody ever invited you. And so what is funny about that is I was on the products for over a year and had no idea that I was able to share with other people and help other people. Nobody ever told me that I could do a business at home with that. So I guess I feel like from that moment, just learning that I went a whole year not understanding I could share and help other people and pay for our products because we have 6 people on them. And now my little children that were this big that I was doing half doses with are now adults, or not adults, but adult size and needing full doses. So we needed that in our home to be able to do that. So that was really interesting to me. One of the parts that Adriane didn't quite share on her story, she may not know that side of it, is that when she was deciding to come that weekend, because I really feel like we need to listen. We need to listen to our intuition, to God, our higher power, whatever that is for us, to the universe. We need to be in tune with that because I wasn't supposed to be there that weekend. That's why she said it was kind of iffy whether she was going or not. My family was going to Utah to help my son. And for some reason, I had the feeling last minute to stay home. I'm like, Lauren, I just need a weekend. My husband's Lauren. I just need a weekend by myself to be home, and you take the kids to Utah and go help our son. And so the picture we had there is my 4 little children at home, but we had 2 big adopted boys that are now adults. And so for me to have stayed that weekend and get to be here and share that with her, because I made the decision to do the business, I always think about what would have happened if I just put my own kids on, which is fine. And it's been wonderful and it's a blessing for them. But the chance that I got to understand it and get to share with other people has been powerful. The other part about that I really like is my husband and I are both teachers. Never thought we would be in a business like this, but now we get to educate in health, and that's huge. And like I said, my husband's in government economics, so he teaches business, he teaches franchise, he teaches all different sides of it. And network marketing actually is a very good business model. It's the most popular model out there. And that's what happens is, anyways, it's a good business model. And what really stood out to him when he said, when we went to our first meeting to actually learn about the business side, he's like, it's on the NASDAQ. It has a product that nobody else has. It's patented. Like, we'd be silly not to be a part of this and at least pay for our own product. And I never knew it was going to go bigger than that. I was just doing it. And that's neat because, I'm slow and steady. I've been doing it for 6-7 years. I'm Pro 5 in the company, and I never thought I would get there. I'm slow and steady, I have children, I'm busy. We're both teachers, illustrators, craziness. Our life is wild, but we fit it into the nooks and crannies, and that's what's important. But because I decided to share, not only do I get to make our family healthier, but I get to meet beautiful friends like Doug, who somebody referred him to me because he was wondering how people had so much energy. I had a good friend, Delight, and he said, well, go meet Anna. And he came to my home, and we got to know each other and got to visit. And now we've become such dear friends, and we travel together and have a good time together, our families, and it's just a nice time and getting to know Adriane. So that's kind of what happened. So Marissa's Pro 8. And we've been really amazed by Adriane. She's been helping so many people move in so quickly. She's almost to a Pro 3 already, and she only started in December. We're really amazed by the efforts which she's doing, because it's not just about getting to that level. It's about the people she helped to get there. And so that's what's really exciting about it. When you help others, you do well too. And I love that Erin Brockovich is part of the company. I love this woman. If you don't know who she is, look her up and you're going to be blown away. She would never back anything when you do your studies on her. That's not really legit, and she's an incredible woman. My husband talks about this. I don't totally understand. I know we're before the curve. Like when things take off, you want to be on that roller coaster ride with it. You don't want to be at the top up here where it's already stabilized. Like Mary Kay and all the other top ones, they're in stabilization mode. But we're way down here. We're getting ready to ride that roller coaster ride together. So I think that's exciting. It's a good time to join not just this company, but any company if you can find it at the right time. So my husband, IBM or oh yeah, Doug needs to get, he's a business guy. He can come share with us. But how do I just click on this?
No, just have him come up and share.
Okay.
Yeah. You can do it. Yeah.
How do you click? I don't know how to change the slide.
Oh, sorry.
Look how many countries we're in. Isn't that incredible? But my kids can do the business now because they put the app on their phone. And those teenagers are smart. So Adriane was wondering, how can we get the kids involved? Put the app on their phone. It's amazing when they start sending the videos to people. I mean, when he shares his story, yesterday we were in the doctor's office, and I want to turn the time to him to share part of the business, but we were in the doctor's office 2 days ago, and the person that brings us in before the doctor comes in was drinking a Monster at her desk. And my little Caroline called her out and said, "Oh, you shouldn't be drinking that." And she says, "You need to drink an Axio." So of course that put me on the spot. I'm like, "Here." And I just handed her a strawberry Axio. She was so grateful, but that became the talk in the office. So the children can share, and when they're passionate about it. So anyway, this is a good friend of mine, and I'm grateful for him, and I'm grateful he showed up at my front door. So thank you. This is Doug,
Thank
sorry.
you. Yes.
And he's also Pro-3. He's moved very quickly, so we're excited.
Yeah. So this is my 4th month. And right away, I saw the potential. First of all, I felt the potential in my brain and in the energy level from the Axio. The story real quick, when I saw Delight, Anna's friend, zipping around, I was working with her at the high school, and I just asked her, I said, you have so much energy, what are you doing? And so she sent me a picture of the back of the Axio bag, and she goes, "This is what I'm doing." And then I text back, "How do I get it?" And so she sent me Anna's number. And so I called, and then we met, and the rest is history. And I'm real excited about the business. I run my own company right now. And so I am working it in the nooks and crannies. But I have a lot of people that I know that need this. And so I'm very excited to, my goal is right here by the end of the year. So Pro 7, that's my goal. We'll see.
No, we'll see.
But the one thing that I really do understand from being on the products and seeing what it's done for my own family, my mother was bedridden for months. And after 4 months of being on the product, she's walking again. So it's been a miracle for her. And so I understand some of the science, and I understand that it works and that everybody needs it. So I'm just working as hard as I can to spread that word. So I'm just happy to be here with all of you.
Anybody else want to get up and share
All right,
anything?
let's see. Hi, Merrill kids.
If I can share one thing about,
Yes, come on up, Danny.
I'll be brief.
We're gonna wrap it up here, but yes, come on up.
So generally for chiropractors, you get 800 different network marketing companies and people in companies that try to get you to sell their products or be a rep. And many chiropractors will say yes to all of the things, but never do anything with the business because they want to use the products or they want to help their patients get the products, but that's it, which is great, right? Because you get your small circle of people introduced to these products. But what I've seen with my parents, especially with my dad going through his health crisis, and right before that, my mom was dealing with the need for prolapse surgery. So both of them at one point couldn't work and couldn't be in their practice, which meant they had zero income if they weren't in their practice. And they have a home office right now. So not only are they both navigating health crises at different points, but if they want to retire right now, they can't because their business is in their home. So they can't really sell it. And they could bring someone in, but then they still have a person in an office in their home. So for a lot of chiropractors, this is something that happens, that they get later in their career when they love what they are doing. They could work until the end of their lives because they are passionate about it, but also because they kind of have to if you haven't been really, really intelligent with your resources and found other investment vehicles, right? So I saw this and I not only saw a way that I could help more people and reach more people with these products than I ever could with my own two hands, but I saw a way that I could create a life for myself where I get to work until I'm old and I get to take care of people through chiropractic until I'm old, not because I have to, but because I've created a lifestyle in which I don't have to worry about money, because I've reached so many more people through this business. I've empowered other people to create a life of their dreams, and I still get to serve people through chiropractic from pure love as opposed to from need. And that's really the power of having a business like this. Whether you have a career or job that you love right now and you do fit it into the nooks and crannies like we've heard, or you see this and you absolutely want to run with it, either way, it's something that can serve the life of your dreams. And by doing that, you can serve so many other people to find the life of their dreams and create that as a possibility when they might not even realize that it is a possibility. So I just present you with that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Wanted to thank Adriane and her husband for inviting us into their home tonight, and for all of you being here. What we shared with you tonight was just a little tip of the iceberg. I mean, right now with health, and everybody's nervous about their health right now. My brother, got sick this weekend, so I'm rushing to Dating Wellness. She talked about that being a postbiotic, but it has elderberry, vitamin C, vitamin D, the yeast extract, and just the Protandim alone gets your glutathione of 300%. And if you understand anything about glutathione, that's powerful, because even the people out playing baseball or professionals, they're excited if they get it up 60%. So just knowing that right now, just power yourself with being healthy, keeping your body in a good place. We can give you more information if you want to do a lot more studies and go crazy, or you can just talk to someone here. But I just want to thank Marisa for coming and helping also tonight. She's special. We're so grateful for her, but thank you for doing this in your home, and thank you for coming tonight. And if you have any questions, we're going to hang out for a little bit and